Hey guys, Colin here, back for a video this week, and I'm trying something a little different this time. I'm going to start a new section of videos called Record Stories, instead of just showing a whole bunch of records and antiques and stuff like I do in the other videos. I'm just going to show one record and kind of tell you my thoughts on it, maybe a story behind it. Probably records you've already seen before, but I've had so many videos now that you probably won't even remember all the records I've shown, but you may have seen them. You have seen them in your local record shops or heard it on the radio, things like that. Just thought I would try something new here. I'm not going to do the whole fancy intro and use the fancy cameras and stuff like that. This one's just on my computer with the computer speakers and things. But for my first record I wanted to kind of talk about is this one here, Bruce Springsteen, The River. This is a 2-album set. It's a concert of his, and it has a lot of hits on it, like The River, obviously, Cadillac Ranch, Ramp. Most of these are his older stuff, Two Hearts, Hungry Heart, things like that. But this record here holds a lot of memories for me because I had a girlfriend that I was with for 13 years, and I hope this doesn't make anybody mad. Anyway, but I just want this one in particular was a girlfriend of mine. Her name was Linda, and she was real huge and big into Bruce Springsteen, and I wasn't. I just didn't get into him at the time. Um, Now, I did have some Bruce Springsteen cassette tapes back in the day, back in when Born in the USA came out. I had that record, or it wasn't a record, it was a cassette. And that cassette I used to play all the time when I was a dishwasher at a little diner in Topeka that mostly they cooked breakfast all the time. Bruce Springsteen would come over the radio, Born in the USA, and eventually I bought the cassette tape and I would play it on my Walkman earphones and things like that. But this one, we're going to talk about The River, which was Linda's favorite record. And I'm going to get into some history on that. Personal stuff, so if you don't want to hear anything personal, you don't have to watch. But The River, what do I have to say about that? That was her favorite record, and I actually didn't get into him at the time when she liked it. Already it was a classic record by that time, which was in the early 90s. But I just remember it being her favorite album. Um, and what else can I say about that? It's going to be a boring video. But anyway, I remember at the time, this was in the early 90s, that it came up that he was going to be in concert in Kansas City. And she was all excited, real excited, wanting to go to the concert, and said, "Can you check on tickets?" So I did. I don't think, I didn't really have a phone at the time because I was working as a dishwasher at another college before the one I'm at now. Over the years, I've always just been a dishwasher everywhere. So, just minimum wage, I think I made $6.50 an hour at the time. But somehow I got a hold of the ticket prices, which was from a pretty big ticket place at the time, and they're still around now. But the ticket prices were $195 a person, and this would be for the nosebleed section, and that was quite a bit of money at the time. Can't imagine what the ticket prices would be now, probably $400. But I just remember it pissed me off, and I was totally shocked. I'm like, okay, I've been listening to this music with you, and this guy sings about working class people, everyday people that work in factories or just menial jobs, construction workers, that type of thing. And the actual people that he's singing about can't afford those ticket prices. I'm like, I only make $6.50 an hour. I'm a dishwasher. I'm like, I'm sorry. I can't afford to take you, even both of us together. We can't even go in on these tickets to go to this concert. And it just really pissed me off and made me sad and that I couldn't do this for her. I'm sure it's not Mr. Springsteen's fault. It's probably all the people that promote his albums and the ticket places. I won't say the actual name of the ticket place, but you probably know who I mean. Ticket M, I will say. But that was just one of the groups that she always wanted to see, and I could not afford to take her to it. Even now, after all these years, that's still in my head. It's like ingrained in my head how much the tickets could have been by this person who sings about people who are poor, and a lot of his songs telling stories about working class people, and the actual people he's singing about can't afford to go get his tickets. Otherwise, they probably got to starve or not pay the rent for a month or two to go see him. But anyway, her name was Linda. Eventually, she committed suicide, which is something I've never talked about. I don't want to go too deep into that. But she caught cancer and eventually committed suicide because she did not want to go through all of the chemotherapy and things. And the doctors had told her at the time that it's too far. She was too far along in her sickness that the chemo and all of that probably wouldn't do any good. Anyway, it would just prolong her agony, and but they still wanted to treat her, but she didn't want to go through that. So she took a bottle of pills, and drank a bottle of vodka, and that was it. Anyway, that's my record story for this record here, even though it's kind of a downer kind of a story. But yeah, I wanted to start picking out some of my records from my collection and just talking about one record. I don't want to show you a whole bunch of stuff like I usually do. But that's my record story for this one. It was kind of a rambling video, not really going anywhere, but this is the first one. Record stories. Colin, over and out, and Weirdos Unite.